So I have the Anfibio multi here. It's in 20 kilohertz frequency. My my gain is at 94. Doesn't really matter. I'll bump that down a little bit. And so I hunt a lot in 3-tone because the 3 tones gives me less chatter when I'm in the curb strips. There's a lot of foil, a lot of garbage, a lot of trash in the curb strips. And let's face it, the treasure is around the trash. Through my years of metal detecting, I've found most of my great finds and most of my finds around really trashy areas. So if you're just starting to get into metal detecting, go to the trashy areas. That's where you're going to learn. That's where you're going to learn at. And I found a couple tips here. I found a couple tricks here to adjust the Anfibio multi to reject without notching or discriminating, because I don't, on any of my machines, I don't notch or discriminate because it just makes it pop and crackle a little bit on good targets. I want to hear all the stuff in the ground, you know, so I have my discrimination at 0 or 1. That's factory default on the Anfibio here in 3-tone mode. That's factory default. You can't go any, you can go to 0, but it crackles and pops a little bit there. And so I'm going to go over to the tone break. I'm going to go over to here, down to tone break, right down there. And I'm at 18 right now. 15 is the factory default. 15 is where they think the foils or the tone break should be at for iron. You know, anything below 15 is going to be grunts. It's going to be low tones. In the middle tones can be 15 to, I set mine at usually in the lower 60s, and I'll show you that in a second here. So this is at 15, the factory default. Sounds pretty clean, right? Sounds nice and clean because this is reading, it's a low tone. It's giving me an iron tone. So foil reads up higher than iron. So my first zone of tone break is going to be at 15. So it's reading that as iron. But I still dig everything. Tell you the truth, I dig most solid targets. Even nails and stuff, I check myself a lot, and I find some good stuff when I'm checking myself. So let's adjust that tone break here. And I'll adjust it when I'm swinging. Look at how clean that sounds. Let me go to 17. It's broken up. Let me go to 18. It breaks it. It makes foil break. It gives you that crackle to it. So that's how I can reject just by ear. Because when I'm swinging fast, I'm not looking at my metal detector. I'm just swinging. I'm looking, right? I'm looking at the ground. And I'm listening to my metal detector. And if I hear that crackle right there, that's going to be foil. So let me drop that back down to 15. Factory default. That sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. It's, you know, it's giving me kind of jumpy numbers there. Still, it's really close to that tone break. And I want that to break up a little bit. So let me adjust that up a little bit. 18. It makes it crackle. Makes it pop. So I can reject that. When I hear that in the ground, because I'm not looking at my detector, when I hear that in the ground, it's just a crackle. It's just background noise to me. But rings, if they're 17, 18, 19, they will read up nice and crisp and clear because it's not foil. So let me go to the pennies. Look at that number right there, 66. So the factory default is at 65. So you're getting a broken tone right there. So I'm doing exactly the opposite of what I'm doing with the foil there. I want to make that penny sound good. I don't want it to make it sound broken. And the factory default comes at 65. Okay, so to adjust the second setting, the second zone there, you push select to go to zone 2. And it's set at 66 right now. This is, look at how broken up that sounds. 65. It's broken up. Let me go back to that and go to 68. Still broken up. Still broken up. So this is my settings, what I usually do on the 3-tone. I go down to 62 or 63. Nice and crisp and clear. Look at that. It's a solid tone. Okay, now I have another piece of jewelry right over here somewhere. 25. Sounds just like a pull tab. Where is it at here? I put it over here. Right there. It's an earring. So don't skip up those pull tabs. Don't skip up those ink pennies. And don't skip up those foil signals. I mean, sure, I do reject a lot of foil because there's a lot of foil in the curb strips and in the trashy areas like schools and parks and whatnot. There's just foil all over the surface, so you have to reject some of that stuff. And I don't discriminate, because if this foil is all over the surface there, you're going to be digging up foil for a long time. And I want that foil to kind of sound bad. I want it to be rejected, that tone to be rejected. I don't want the numbers, because I don't usually reject by numbers. I reject by tones. And when I'm swinging my normal speed, you know, fast swing speed, I want to be able to reject tones rather than the TIDs, the numbers. So they're just a little tip for you if you have an Anfibio multi. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.